Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the instructions in the video description. Garland, you're up next. Garland, did you see that
Hello.
I responded to your post about slow rolling today on the CLP forums?
I did.
Okay. So Garland made a post saying that he was accused of slow rolling another guy when he wasn't. And I have very, very strong feelings about this topic, and I'm going to read my response here. And I've gone over this many, 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 many times. Basically, what ended up happening to Garland was that he had aces. He 3-bet out of the big blind. The board came out queen 9-7. He bet the flop. The button raised him. He called. The turn was a 9, so it's queen 9-7, 9. He checked. The button bet. He called. The river was a 10. He checked. The button bet 300. So it's queen 9-7, 9-10, right? You have aces. You take a couple of seconds and call, and then he tables a strange hand, ace 10 for a rivered sort of second pair, queen 9-9-7, 10. So you take a couple seconds to figure out that your hand is good, and you table it as aces, and the guy accuses you of slow rolling him. And the thing about this that really it doesn't irritate me, it is just what it is that the person who is supposedly slow rolling, in this case you, it's all about what their intention was, whether or not it's a slow roll. Like, you weren't trying to slow roll the guy. Therefore, it's not a slow roll. And I said in the post that, when you're trying, I asked you, are you trying to show up the button? And I'm sure the answer is no. If not, it's not a slow roll. It's all your intention, not what your opponent perceives your intention to be. Just say I wasn't slow rolling you. I was just reading the hand, which is what you were doing. People that actually slow roll, they're not going to deny that they're slow rolling because that's their intention, is to slow roll. It defeats the purpose of why they're doing it. I've talked about this a lot. People accuse others of slow rolling them because they know that they're not supposed to really get upset with fish when they give him bad beats. And they know that they're not supposed to get upset about losing in general. And it's accepted that you're allowed to get angry if someone slow rolls you. So they just make up the fact that you're slow rolling them, even though you're not. But I would not get bent out of shape about it whatsoever. I wouldn't even think twice. It's just similar to like when you make a call on a draw, right? Because you think that you're going to be able to get the guy to pay you off because he can't fold a hand. You call with a flush draw for a big bet, and then you make it, and you jam on the guy, and the guy calls, and he's like, "Oh, you called with a flush draw?" That's how that would be like how I would take it. I wouldn't even think twice about it. People that tell you that you're slow rolling them when you're not, because remember, the only thing that matters is what your intention is. They are just using it as an excuse. Anyways, I digress. All right, Garland, let's go to the hand.
Okay, I think I have an interesting one that was posted in the forums about a week ago. Got some opinions on it, so I'm going to get yours.
Sure.
Anyway, this was playing at Lucky Chances in Colma, California, near my house. Stakes are 3-5, 1,000 max.
Yep.
The effective stack is $800. I have $800. There's a very loose average aggression game. I haven't been there too long, maybe 20, 30 minutes.
235, 800 effective, is that right?
Just 3-5, no 2.
Oh, okay.
Just a 3-5 blind game.
3-5. By the way, did you like Cincinnati?
I mean, it was hot and humid there, and I wouldn't. But I mean, yeah, it's the pace of life. The pace of life is pretty. It's pretty good. I could change the pace.
Yeah, it's like Kentucky. That's what I was saying. I was saying if there were people with southern accents there. Usually, a little bit there are. All right, so 3-5, 800. Is this at the Jack or is this in the Bay Area?
This is at Lucky Chances.
Oh, okay, Lucky Chances. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Main villain is Under the Gun. He's a youngish African American. I really don't know much about him. He has a $2,000 in front of him. It looks like he's winning.
Yep.
So that's all I know. So pre-flop, so it's $8, 9 players in the hand. There's 4 limpers in the field, including the under the gun. In the small blind, I have 3 of clubs, 3 of hearts. I complete in the small blind, and the big blind checks.
So 4 limpers, you complete the $2 with 3 big blind checks. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So $30 in the pot, 6 players. Flop comes favorable for me as a 3 of diamonds, 4 of clubs, 7 of spades. Rainbow.
So
3, 4, 7.
3, 4, 7. So you've got bottom set here. It's a limp pot. You guys know I love limp pots, and I love bomb pots too. This is interesting here, Garland, in terms of how you want to play this. And I think you probably know my approach here. Because this board is somewhat dynamic, and I define dynamic meaning that, like, top pair is going to change. I always talk about, like, hey, I like to attack limp pots, like on 8 deuce 3 from the blinds, or attack a field better after, like, a single raise pot where the preflop raiser checks. You know, a lot of people are just going to fold off top pair, like, right away. Things like that, like on a board like 8 deuce 3. This board's a little bit similar. There's no flush draw. I mean, I know it's sort of like there's an interior straight draw and things like that, but when I look at spots like this where there's going to be a lot of fold equity, like on dynamic boards, if you make a play like a check raise, I want to take the line that has the least amount of fold equity with my value hands and take the line that has the most amount of fold equity with my bluffs. So, for example, somehow, like, say, for example, you had ace-5 offsuit here, which would be a double gutter and an overcard. I think it would be a great spot to check raise. With bottom set here, I would just tend to lead out because I don't want to check raise and blow somebody off of a 7. What did you do?
Well, yeah, I mean, I could go either way with your analysis. I mean, I opted to check and see what the field action is like. I check, big blind checks, under the gun bets $15.
Okay.
There's 2 field callers.
Call. By the way, too, I mean, 5-6 off is a stretch, right? If you've got people that are V-pipping, if you're on a different board here where someone's going to play like every single combination of a certain hand, like, for example, if, you know, the board came out 7, 8, 9 and you think a guy's got like Jack 10, all 16 combos, there's a lot of straight combos, right? 5-6 off, not so much. It's just something to obviously consider. So check, big blind checks, under the gun 15, call, you've got bottom set. I'm assuming that you're going to put in a raise here?
Yeah, I put in a raise of $60.
Well, that's kind of small. So 15 into like 30, that's 45, 60, 75, and you make it 60. You make it 4x. Okay. I mean, I guess I can get on board with it. You want to get some action, so you raise to 60.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, if I have the least of my, I mean, I don't have 4s, I don't have 7s, so, you know, it's kind of like I want action from, you know, raising to get action from hands that actually beat, right? So, anyway, under the gun calls, he's the only caller. So, immediately my thought process is, well, he could very well have an overpair that he failed to get a limp re-raise in.
So, who called again? I'm sorry, I was just
under the gun. The
UTG calls. Okay, so UTG calls and then the other people fold, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So I think that one of the possibilities he has is an overpair that just didn't get the limp re-raise and calling.
Well, that's always a possibility, and I know that might come into play here. Whenever you are in a situation where you're trying to figure out, especially at the lower stakes, what somebody has in a limped pot, if somebody's limped from under the gun, you always have to remember that there is a possibility that they have a large pair that they were trying to go for a limp re-raise. So now the pot is 120, 150. It's like 180, right?
Yeah, well, it's 180 in the pot. The turn comes a jack of hearts. So it completes the rainbow.
Okay.
So I bet 95 on this. I'm kind of running out of overpairs here with this jack. But under the gun thinks, for about 30 seconds, I don't know if he's contemplating raising or not, but he's thinking about for 30 seconds and finally calls. So maybe I'm a little bit concerned at this point. I mean, he could have all the fours, he can have all the sevens, and he can have 5-6, obviously, and the over pairs. That's kind of what I'm putting him on at this point.
Well, you don't want to make a bet where when he calls you're concerned, right? We don't want to make we don't. I mean, I wouldn't be too concerned from some of the shit that I've seen playing 5-5 during my challenge the last couple weeks. Somebody had emailed me a submission that didn't get on the show this week where they had aces and they bet like 2/3 the size of the pot on the turn. And they told me in the email the guy called and I knew I was in trouble. You don't want to put yourself into a situation where you make a bet or a raise size when you're called for value. When you're called, you think you're in trouble. That's an issue. I mean, I don't think that's the case here on paper, but I know you understand that. So you bet 95, UTG calls, pot is 370, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm mildly concerned, but I'm not regretting the bet. So anyway, the river is $370 now. So the river comes the king of spades.
Okay.
So now I'm just really running out of overpairs, right? So now I'm like aces or queens and that are stubborn or something like that, right? That's kind of what I'm targeting at. So I kind of put a thin value bet for 140. I mean, maybe there's some two pairs, but that's not a board that has a ton of two pairs.
Well, here's the I mean, it's not just aces, queens. I mean, you think that he's going to fold to your bet with like nines, eights, tens, even fives or sixes, which are straight draws. This on the surface, this seems to be different from the other call where the guy had aces and then they come out like queen, king with the diamonds. What was that call? That was the guy from Australia. It came out queen 8-3, turns a jack, rivers a king, where I was like, oh, this is a check fold. This is not a check fold. This is usually going to be a bet fold because it doesn't really make sense to check here when a lot of the inferior holdings that may call you are going to check back. I would just take a pretty small sizing here. I would bet like 100, 125, something like that.
Yeah, someone on the forum said my betting is problematic because I'm shown weakness and they're going to raise me off, as a bluff, and I kind of disagree with that.
Raise you as a bluff with what, though? Again, it would have to be like a pair plus, right? I mean, there's no.
I agree, but that was one of the thought processes. One of the
what was the sizing that you used here at the end?
I used 140. I went a little bit more than what you said. I went to 140.
You went to 140?
Yeah, I bet 140.
Okay.
So, anyway, under the gun tanks for about 1 minute.
Yeah.
He takes a full minute. He's filling with his chips. He's putting some more money in his hand, filling with his chips. And then, finally after the minute was up, he shipped it. He shipped, for my last $500, dollars more.
So you bet 140 and he shipped it for how much total?
He shipped it for my last 500, so 640 total.
640 total. So let's do some math here. So 140 into 370 is 510 plus another 500. So it's 1,010, 500 for you to call. Is that about right?
Sounds about right.
1,010, 500 or 1,110, 500 for you to call. It looks like, right? 510. 140, 510, and then he puts in 1,120. 500 for you to call, I believe is what the math is here. I mean, this looks really strong, Garland. This looks really strong. I mean, I mean, this would almost be a deviation to call here, like in the sense that you need to have history to make a call like this, because, I mean, I think you're sort of on the right track here where maybe the guy even has pocket kings here. I mean, he probably shouldn't be raising that hand because you have all the 5-6, especially in the small blind, right? You have all the full, but you can't expect him to know that though, or to think about that. He could think that pocket jacks or pocket kings are the nuts here. He could have either one of those. He could have
all my 4s and 7s too. I guess that's probably true.
No, I think the way that I would look at this is that, like in this case here, I think 3s is probably a rather trivial fold. But like if I had sevens here, I mean, you just start to go up the line. If you had sevens, then like, now like you're covering the bases where once in a great while he's doing something spazzy and he's overplaying some absurd hand like fours. So I might call with sevens, but I think I'm gonna fold. I think I'm gonna fold threes or fours. What did you end up? People are saying king jack. How is the guy gonna have king jack? I know.
How in the world did he have king jack?
Guys, 3-4-7. Garland check raised the flop.
Who's betting king jack? Who's calling checkers king
There's
jack?
no draws out there.
Nothing.
Yeah. So what did you end up doing?
Yeah, I ended up folding. Ended up folding after 30 seconds. I mean, I think it was a pretty trivial fold. I folded.
And did you ever find out what he had?
Offered him $10, said no. Offered him $15, he said no, and that was it. I offered him $20 after that. He didn't. No, that was it. That was the end of the line. He did not want to show. So, no show. No show.
All right, Garland.
It was a good fold.
I think it's a pretty good fold. Thanks for the call. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.